Hey there, welcome to White Women Wake Up. I'm Karen.
And I'm Jonelle.
Each week, one of us brings a topic to the table, something we've been wrestling with, reading about, or noticing in our own lives.
And the other reacts in real time. No scripts, no prep, just honest conversation between a mother and daughter, spanning generations, and what it means to wake up as white women in a world shaped by biased power and inherited patterns.
We don't always agree, and it's not always comfortable, but we show up anyway.
Yeah, we do. Let's
wake up. Hi, Jonelle.
Hi, Karen.
Well, last week, a couple things, actually. Book club.
I was like, we can talk about book club.
Gosh,
but I was sick, so
you had to back
left. out. So I'm so sorry for everyone, but I tried to be there, and then...
And you loved the book.
I did love the book.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it. I did stay and listen as I laid down and was falling asleep and half listened to you. But anyways, go on. It sounded like a great conversation.
I have to say, I felt like one of the things that's nice about book club is we're starting to get to know the people that are coming to the book club, which I really enjoy. And we're coming from different parts of the country. And I also, one of the things that I learned about poetry is reading out loud to each other in this context. And so the different passages each of us took to read was really strong and impactful, whether it was about the father figure, whether it was about, the book was about young love and how, both of the good and the bad of that. And so it was just really beautiful to share dialogue and share stories.
Yeah.
One thing I did, which is kind of a duh, but I was like, why are so many of these books young adults? And then one of our book club members said, well, that's because most young adult books are the ones that are banned. And so that will be probably part of what we're reading.
Which I think is such an easy, and like you said, an obvious moment of they're banning books for essentially developing minds because they don't want these minds to have different perspectives. And as we know, these books aren't inherently, they're not rough. They're good, great books that give different perspectives in life and is such a positive light.
Yeah.
So
this young character in this particular book, she was wrestling with her mother's faith.
Yeah.
And
we can call the book Poet X if anyone wants to listen.
And she was it. And it did change. I want to read more poetry books because it was just a book written in verse. But I think my take on that idea of banning this particular book, I feel like as a parent, instead of banning it, maybe you ask your child, let's read it together. And it opens up some really good conversation, especially around, young love, crush, what does it mean to make decisions that are different than your parents? I just feel like you lose the opportunity as a parent.
But aren't you describing what school is?
Yeah.
I think the thing is, and you're a teacher, a professor, so you know this, but that was always the intent around these books, is building good discussion, healthy discussion for, again, impressionable minds.
Yeah.
And then also, homework is supposed to be a parent active event as well. Having your kids, parents be involved with kids' homework. And so I think
instead of just banning it.
And so it's just sad all around, but I'm glad we're reading them. They're really good. The next one is The Hate You Give, and this is happening the second Tuesday in April. Sorry, I don't know the date off the top of my head.
It's the 14th.
But the first Tuesday in April. I'm so sorry.
No,
second Tuesday. Oh my gosh.
It's the 14th.
I'm on a roll today, everyone. I had a flat tire today.
You've had a tire.
My furnace went out the other day. It's been a tough couple days.
Yeah.
So my mind is not fully there. But the second Tuesday in April, The Hate You Give. It's supposed to be such a good book. So I'm really excited about this one. Yeah, and we hope more of you can join us. It's been great.
Okay, I've been dying to talk about our reflection.
Oh, okay, go for it. Great.
So one of the things we talked about last week, we talked about change.
Yeah.
And one of the theories was loss aversion. And oh my gosh, I experienced that. So my son, your brother, has moved to New York and upstate New York. So it's kind of far to get to. And it's very, it's across the United States for us. We're in the Seattle area. And the entire time I was with him, so loss aversion is when you're afraid of loss and you have like negative feelings around that loss. And so it's like you want to like
I think it's more than that because everyone has negative feelings around loss. No, you're trying to avoid loss.
It's a control thing. You're trying to avoid loss.
Yeah.
So it was really funny. So the whole weekend we were there, I kept I would love to control and have him come back to the West Coast.
Yeah.
So, but he's really happy.
Yeah.
He's super
happy.
So I found myself internally fighting with myself. I didn't say any of this out loud, but I found myself going, well, this in a negative way. I kept focusing on negative because I wanted to control it coming back here.
Well,
and I was laughing as I was thinking about what we were talking about and change. I was just resisting that change, right? When in fact he's really happy and my focus should be on the happiness that he's on. Instead, I kept focusing on the negative, and I had to really work on it because this is about being receptive to change.
And what's even more interesting, I'll add from an outsider's perspective on this, because I think this is a great self-awareness moment for you, is what was also happening, and I didn't know your internal monologue, but what was happening outside with your internal turmoil was you were also becoming a very controlling parent. That has not been you in a while. And I did not go on this trip, but I was getting calls from my brother or check-ins of, Mom is redoing my apartment. She's buying this. She's telling me I need to do this.
That.
She's like, this is getting invasive. What do I say to her?
Yeah.
She just keeps telling me what to do. And
I noticed.
And that has not been the mom you've been in a very long time.
It's funny because I did notice this move, because it's so far, it takes a couple plane transfers, all this kind of stuff. It's out of my control.
Yeah.
And I did notice that, I kept in my mind replaying different ways to get out there.
Yeah.
Can we get out there without a layover? And so there was all these things I couldn't control. And I was frustrated because I couldn't control it. And so who knows if it manifests itself in
Oh, I think
controlling the environment.
I think it did. Every time I was talking to you, to everyone in the family, you were very much in the control center of things, and you can feel, not in a bad way, you guys sounded like you had a great time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't interesting. It was a different version of you that I hadn't seen in a really, really, years. And so it's interesting to hear that was your internal monologue that was going on at the same time, because that really matches up with kind of your external presence at the time, which is a good lesson of change when we resist these uncomfortable things.
So I did midway start going, okay, this is a good change for him. He's excited. And I had to keep saying positive things to get myself over this lack of control. Yeah. Anyways.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, self-reflection.
A lot of internal. I just wanted it to change. Change in my favor, but that's okay.
Okay. I know. And also, listeners, she was trying to convince me that I need to move out to upstate New York with them. And I was like, Karen, I'm not going. You can go. I'm not following.
It's a beautiful area of the country. So positive on upstate New York. It's far.
But I have a great little life here. I'm not moving.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyways.
Okay. Well, my topic today is very vulnerable. So I would say, listeners, please bear with me in this. I'm going to be in... And I hope we can follow a linear path. I'm not quite sure. We struggle even when I outline, and this one is it's again more of my own internal monologue of what's kind of been happening recently. And so I want to start out by talking about our internet presence. I think this is something we've talked a lot about, of being your true and authentic self, and that's never something that I have struggled with. And so it confuses me when people have two different lights kind of thing. But I'm seeing it more and more as we've had a couple videos on TikTok get pretty strong views. I mean, we have some videos right now. We have like half of our videos this week have gotten like 80 views, but we've had some recently that in like the 20,000. This one I'm going to talk about today is 15,000 views. So not viral for TikTok standards, but viral for us.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we had a video go viral on white entitlement from an episode a couple weeks ago, and the comments were pretty rough. I would say we've gotten a couple trolls in the past trying to like get stuff out of us, but for the most part, people have been encouraging or curious, or we've built a good community. This one, white entitlement, really triggered people. And so I'm going to read you some comments.
Can I say something first when you say the word white entitlement? I would agree that in a lot of ways, we are exhibiting white entitlement because we have the freedom. No.
Oh, yeah. No, I disagree.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Because I was going to say we have the freedom. Entitlement is a space where...
Did you think I was going to say we're not entitled?
Yeah.
We definitely have white entitlement.
Yeah, we definitely have.
So, every white person has white entitlement.
Yeah. So the thing is, for them to say we're exhibiting white entitlement, I wouldn't disagree because...
Yeah, that's not where the issue lies.
Okay, that's not the issue. Okay,
no.
Got it. Okay, got it.
No, I said we triggered people by talking about white entitlement.
Oh, got it.
They didn't want to face their own.
Got it.
No, we are definitely...
I mean, I wish that word feels... a little tough, I guess, and it feels like...
No, don't baby people. White entitlement is exactly what we have.
I mean, I wish I could say that I had... Like, I try to be a humble person and those sorts of things, but I think given that... Jonelle's look.
Again, you're just being white people right now.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's important. It's almost impossible in the United States to not have white entitlement. Yeah.
White entitlement to... Not even in the United States, in the world.
Yeah.
Being a white person gives you
access,
gives you entitlement. Whether it's only a scary word because people have made it scary.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But words, it should not be a scary word. But it triggered people. Also in this clip, we talk about microaggressions, and I talk about how I like the term microaggression because it really speaks to how minimal some of these things can seem, but they actually have a really big impact.
Yeah.
Anyways, very triggering to a lot of people. And what's interesting is, though, we definitely got comments like, thank you, white saviors, or they shouldn't allow everyone to have podcasts. You know, we should ban podcast equipment. We got like a lot of this, like, you know, you're just a bunch of white ladies. Why should we listen to you? So we did get a lot of that. But what became even more interesting, people getting triggered, is their biggest attack was to be able to attack my body and stuff to discredit me through their attack of my body. And so we also got a lot about, well, white entitlement is the fact that you're eating everything in sight and then saying other people have white entitlement, or no one is taking an opinion from a biggie, or obesity, laughing.
How are you feeling
shut
about
up, you
that?
fat idiot.
Oh my God.
No, this is
cruel.
People are crazy.
Yeah.
But this is
and I have to say, for full disclosure, I would love for Jonelle not to post on TikTok. I don't feel that we need to be in those spaces, but Jonelle's right. If we want to get out there and we want...
You've literally never told me that.
No, we have talked about it.
No, we haven't.
Anyways.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is derailing.
Okay.
No, the only thing you have ever said to me was, oh no, I hope my students don't clip this. You have never said, I don't want to be on TikTok. You've never
but the
said...
point is...
that's not the point, because clarity. Then it's making it sound like I'm bullying you into TikTok.
No, not at all.
You've never said that to me.
But
you have been concerned about our perception. Yeah. The funny thing is, no one has ever called you out. It's always me.
Well, they will now.
I mean, I probably won't clip this for them. I don't know. Who knows?
But the point being is, Jonelle's right. If we want people to know we're doing this is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I've had to really analyze what does it mean to be vulnerable?
Yeah.
We're being very vulnerable. We're allowing ourselves. I mean, we say over and over again, we are not experts. We are just two women having this conversation about what it means to show up in a world where we have privilege.
Yeah.
And that privilege shapes our bias.
Yeah.
And so, and questioning these discussions.
And
anyways, but I agree with you. Marketing, part of that
this is a derailment.
Okay. I'm derailing.
We can discuss our marketing plans after this. But this is new news to me that you really did not want to be on TikTok.
Okay.
The other day you told me to get on Facebook because that's more of our demographic. But Facebook people are even meaner than TikTok people. So I don't know where you want to go with that.
Yeah.
Anyways, you don't need to worry. They're all talking about me. But again, my point that I'm going with is, as I said, we've had so many other great videos of really positive encouragement. It was just very interesting when you cut to the core of calling people out directly, how the immediate need and was to discredit me. And I'm saying this because I would say of the 200-ish comments on this video, probably 80% of them were in these buckets of making fun of my weight, making fun of just discrediting me, basically saying I'm stupid or lazy because of my body. And Seth, and
clearly, and they don't know you because you're by far lazy. Or you're
the least lazy person. Anyways, none of that. You don't need to. We've already talked about this. My confidence is fine. My self-assurance is fine. This is not where I'm going. And when I told you about these comments initially, we had this conversation of, are you upset by that? And honestly, no. None of those comments bother me at all. I think it's people on the internet who, it's little kids being mean or stupid because they don't know better. They're not happy with their life. They're angry people. It's all sorts of things. But it did give me some pause of thinking because there are some comments that do bother me.
Oh,
and I had to figure out. So this is where we're going today. And I had to figure out why those comments bother me, but the comments that are so utterly cruel don't.
Yeah.
And so here's the comments that start to bother me. These white liberals are the worst enemy to America. Thank you, white saviors. Why should we listen to you, white women?
Wait, is that all one comment?
No, they're all different comments. Okay. They're different ones.
Yeah.
And what I've learned about that as I've started going on this journey is I don't care about the body things because, one, this has been something my whole life that I think people who live in smaller bodies don't understand. I've gotten comments or sneers or everything my whole life. People are awful, but I also think being heavier is still one of the few things that people feel no shame of commenting on.
That ism
and this is just
rampant.
life. And I don't care. People don't know me. But when it came to my core values and my intention, boy, do I start to naturally want to engage with those comments and re-explain, no, that's not what I'm not trying to do. I'm this or that. And I've even found myself in those cycles of, and I've learned through social media, is if I feel like it's a misinterpretation, I engage once. And then if they clearly just want to be combative, then I let it go. Because then it's usually someone who just wants to troll you.
Yeah.
But it did send me on this whole internal self-reflection around imposter syndrome when it comes to what we're doing, when it comes to... And so that's where I'm going to stop right there and kind of let you unpack that before I go into some things.
I think that, so I think if we're going to talk about that imposter syndrome, the space that, first of all, I'm a white woman talking from a white perspective.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing inauthentic about that.
Yeah.
I'm not pretending to know kind of the race game. I'm learning. That's actually, and I've said that over and over again, that
totally
I'm desiring to, well, there's two things I've said over and over that I know that this is where I'm not an imposter. I have heard loud and clear from queer people, from Black women, from brown women, from Indigenous women, that they no longer desire to educate me.
Yeah.
That if I want to learn about microaggression, if I want to learn about redlining, if I want to learn about the ways in which they've been othered, it is my job to educate myself.
Yes.
And the more that I've spent time in educating myself, I realize I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
Totally.
I mean, it must be getting exhausting because the thing is, I think what I see is as I grow a little, then I understand, and then someone else comes along and they're still growing. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to repeat this again type of thing. So I'm taking that charge seriously.
Yeah.
That's a charge that I'm taking seriously. If someone wants to make fun of me for taking that seriously, let them. I mean, and I'm sure that there's many Black women out there that are like, who are you? You don't understand my story. Why are you even?
Yes.
But I'm not preaching. I'm preaching to
white women.
To white women.
And
so so back to the imposter syndrome. I don't feel, because I'm very clear on my goal, which is to look at my bias, unpack my bias, unlearn my bias, see where my bias was coming from and how it shapes me.
Yeah.
So I'm very clear with that. The biggest imposter syndrome that I have is on the theories, because we try to do research to see if there's the loss aversion. Like every time we put out another theory, I think, oh my gosh, I'm sure there's a therapist out there that is saying, well, you didn't really describe that right. So that would probably be like if their response on TikTok was, you got this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, that theory really doesn't exist. First of all, I'd be really kind of happy because I'd like them to kind of help me clear that air. But that might be the thing that I would be a little bit more concerned with.
Yes.
The white savior comment, if I can.
I know. Well, I need to go. Can I go back and clear that up?
Yeah.
Because I don't think I was looking. TikTok only lets me pull as far back. These are the white savior, white liberals. Those were examples. But those weren't actually the ones that necessarily triggered it's usually the people who genuinely on videos, how do I explain this? Like, call me out as if I'm rage baiting kind of thing.
Oh.
Call me out as basically they call out my values of why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that have really
So what did it bring up for you?
So that's what I'm trying to say. And so I completely agree with you. And I realized as you were explaining, I don't think I explain my position right, because I agree that white liberals are the worst enemy to America. Not the worst.
Well, but that statement is okay. But that's
a statement from Malcolm X, actually.
But I know, but that statement is a generalized statement, and I think one of the things that I'm learning, is I've got to question generalized statements, both good and bad, both sides, because yes, I think anything that's unexamined is dangerous.
Yeah.
Is dangerous.
Yeah.
So
I think where I'm going with this spiral of imposter syndrome is more of so the minute someone questions my values, and I know my values and I know this, but then I start getting in these spirals of or am I just every white woman doing this? I know I care.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. These are the spirals. And I even found myself when I was volunteering the other week, chatting with the kids and stuff, being why am I doing this? Why? I love doing this. Is it bad that I get joy out of this? Does it take away from, am I seen as just another white lady? Do they actually like me? Does it matter? These are all the thoughts that I guess. And so this is where I'm just kind of connecting it, of how it was so interesting to me that cruel comments on my body didn't bug me. But when it comes to my value and my internal drive, it set me in this spiral of I think I'm doing it for the right reason. I feel and I don't ultimately care if they don't like me, but then you kind of want to be no, but I am. I'm not one of those. But then that's what we preach about, that it's okay to be seen as a white woman by someone else because that's how they're going to see you.
And we're a white woman.
And we're white women. And all I can do is just keep showing my good nature. And so I think this is like,
but but showing your good nature, that's a funny word too, isn't it? Because
because again, this is the
one of the
trap
things that we're talking about as white women is we've been stuck in this language of good nature. Just showing your human nature and who you are. I think for me, it's interesting because, any corporation where you do a mission statement and you're trying to live out that mission statement, I have to say I'm really grateful that when we started this, we had some clarity around bias. Even when when we do that script about holding each other accountable, in the end, like you say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing it? First of all, I am so grateful for whoever wants to listen to us because I'm really grateful. And I'm grateful. Like one of the things that's been really nice about the book club, it's a reminder that there's a community that desires to grow in this direction. That's the reminder.
Or even I didn't tell you, there's been 2 interactions with listeners this week. One reached out and I'm trying to set up a time to meet with her. She has a great organization. And then the other one was just someone who commented on one of our things, and she kind of commented in disappointment towards me and one of my actions. And which totally fine. And I responded, and I don't think people are used to people responding to them on the internet. But she was very nice about it. And I responded with, I would love to have a conversation on why you think that. And then she backtracked. She goes, I'm so sorry. I don't know enough about the topic. But anyways, and I responded to her. I go, trust me.
And we may be the same.
I was like, trust me, there has been way worse said about me on the internet. I genuinely could tell you were curious and I wanted to have a conversation.
Well, and
that's exactly what you're saying. I do love
this idea of the curiosity. So one of the reasons that I have, and this is also part of our personalities. We've done a lot of research on, are you an external motivator or are you an internal motivator? And you're more of an external motivator and I'm more of an internal motivator. And not that one is good or bad. It's just understanding what motivates. And I have to say, what continues to motivate me is I keep growing. Like, for example, last week when I was stuck in that loss and it was like, I'm feeling out of control. I'm feeling lost. And all I kept doing was attaching negative attributes to that loss instead of saying, wait a second. Change isn't all bad. It's just different. And so I've grown from our conversations that I would hope other people by us sparking out these weird ideas have grown as well.
Having natural. And I think those are like a couple separate points because that's also a growth mindset. I have a growth mindset to want to grow internally, but I do think it is interesting, this external validation, and I've never really needed it for projects that I'm passionate about, things like this. To move forward in this, I didn't need the external validation. I don't need people praising me. That's never motivated me, but it was really interesting why all of a sudden, I don't care if my friends listen or praise me or this or that on this topic because I'm so passionate. But why did I all of a sudden want these strangers on TikTok to validate my values?
Why did you?
I don't know. I still haven't. But the point is, and so we've talked a little bit about this. I don't know if we've identified this specific term, but the validation trap, they talk a lot about it. And especially in terms of white racial identity development, it's called the Sue and Sue model. And so the early stage is an overzealous ally. You're just really kind of, and you're really reacting more towards external validation. And then the final stage is really just fighting oppression without external validation. And I feel like in every area that we've been doing this, I have been closer to that final stage. I have not needed the external validation of everyone. And so I think that's why this also took me so much by surprise of there's clearly something in me that's wanted it from somewhere. And so then that's what kind of then went me on the loop of am I doing this for the right reasons? And I know I am with volunteering. I know what all of that. But again, it felt like a moment of imposter syndrome is the point of I felt like I'm doing all of this out of values without external validation. And then you just have that moment. And I think a lot of women understand imposter syndrome? Like, am I here? And you're really one more thing.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you on like the theories and the stuff. Like I watch, maybe this is it. Actually, as we're talking all this out, I watch some of these creators on TikTok, and there's this one creator called Ashley, and she also says just Ashley, and she is so beautifully spoken. Like her voice is calm and amazing, and she gives these great historical context to like racial stories and all of this, and I watch her and I'm like, this is amazing content.
Yeah.
And then there's other ones who do these great skits to spin around interesting perspectives on racism and oppression and power dynamics. And I'm like, that's amazing. And so you're right. Maybe it is this imposter syndrome around our content.
That's the nature of competition, is looking at other things. And also you're inspired by growth and things like that. And part of that is just accepting who you are. I do want to go back to the white savior.
Yeah.
One of the things that when I always have to break things down into digestible spaces. If you're going into the context that they could not be helped without you, that you're helping these people.
But I'm not that. You know that.
I know, but this is what I'm throwing out there.
Yeah.
If you were going out in there that you're changing them, you're making their life better, you're doing all this stuff, it's almost that putting on rather than going into the space. I want to learn from you. I want to learn about your life. I want to learn who you are as a human being. I want to learn what brings you joy, what makes it hard to be a homeless youth.
Yeah.
I want to know you.
Yeah.
I think that's a very different way of approaching.
And you are bringing up
because white savior can come from like, oh man, I'm giving this person money because they need to change in my way. But the reality is, one of the reasons we do volunteer is because we want to be in community. Being in community is messy. Being in community is getting to know each other's personalities. Being in community is vulnerable. And these spaces allow for that. They allow for change for you, and they allow, it's that openness to learn about the other human being.
Well, and I think what's so interesting about this is, man, this has been a great therapy session because I feel like you also hit something on the head. It's not, I know I'm not an expert. And so maybe some of these comments are bothering me because they're critiquing me as if I'm trying to be an expert.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm trying to say, like,
and you have given that disclaimer.
No, I'm not. I'm just like sharing information that I've learned. Kind of thing. And you're right. I'm a curious person. I love growth mindset. I love learning new things. And so I've enjoyed sharing that with this audience. I've enjoyed sharing it with TikTok, who is mostly kind to us. So then when I get those and I get the confusion, maybe it's because I'm like, no, I'm actually a very humble, like, in that sense, I don't want to be a leader in this. I just want to be a sharer kind of thing. Interesting.
Well, and I am proud of you for narrowing down the feedback in the sense like, okay, I can take this and that's a chunk of feedback, but I'm understanding that this feedback is what bothers me. I have to, as a teacher, I read evaluations all the time.
But I don't think anyone's sitting there being like, shut up, Biggie.
Oh, no. Well,
no,
not shut up.
Shut up, Fatso.
Yeah.
Let's take the microphone away from that double chin. I'm like, people. It is actually shocking what people really think.
Let's wait. But okay.
It's almost comical. Like it's become comical because I'm like, wow.
But I want to say one of the things that I've had to do now, years of evaluation, because some of it can be harsh, is to remind myself, what am I trying to gain from it? And what I'm trying to gain from it is, should I be redesigning my course? Is someone understanding this? So I think that that's important in there. The other challenge, and I know we got to get going, but the other challenge is you and I have also talked about this. The conversations that we're having are nuanced conversations.
Yeah.
Little sound bites do not work. Little TikTok feeds might give someone ideas and sparks, but they will not allow for the breadth that these conversations need. And our audience needs to have the conversations too.
Yeah.
So we're all tethering out, what does it mean to have nuanced conversations?
Yes.
So anyways,
interesting.
Well,
Thank you, everyone.
Your vulnerability is amazing.
Yeah, I needed to be vulnerable today. It was something that's been on my mind.
Wow.
And maybe it's reminding me I need to go back to my therapist to just work some of these out.
Okay.
I do love him.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for joining us on White Women Wake Up. We hope today's conversation sparks something in you, whether it's reflection, a new question, or a deeper commitment to showing up with empathy and accountability. If you found this episode meaningful, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You can also connect with us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Substack, and at White Women Wake Up or hello@whitewomenwakeup.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts and keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay curious, be open, and let's keep waking up together.
Keep waking up. Thank you. Bye.